Good evening. Welcome to a very sunshiny video recording. Um, the sun is just, what can I tell you, people? I come here and then this happens. It feels like that. It does feel like that. It wasn't this bright when I first came here. I like to think that the ancestors are smiling. It's pretty warm here too. Sitting in this sunlight. I didn't really need this half velvet vest that I wore today, but it was cooler this morning. So here we are. As we speak, the video I did before this is loading, I hope. It was something I did on my lunch break, like I'm doing now. Okay, I want one of these off so I could hear what's going on around me, as well as talk to you. Okay, I'll put this here for now. Okay. So, the video I did yesterday was spontaneous, but it came out pretty good. I was trying to, I hope this is a video where I try to explain the sacrifice system. I, so, in a nutshell, I was trying to explain why I contradicted myself, seeming to say that I thought the sacrifice system did work, and what I want to correct or make clear is that I was talking about the sacrifice of who we refer to as Jesus. I'm saying that sacrifice didn't work in terms of it didn't restore what was taken from us back to us. And the example that came up with was Job, where this was a man, according to the story, that didn't have Jesus Christ yet. Oh, hey, he didn't have Jesus Christ as his savior, but he was able to get what was taken from him, and he got it back multifold. So the question is, when do Indians get back what was taken from them? And I do feel that the Church of Rome, they did us one when Pope Francis did declare, or his denunciation of the doctrine of discovery. That was huge. As I sit with this, it's huge. This is the man who is the head of all corporations. Been watching Anna's videos lately, and it seems like she's become more clear that right behind Britain and above Britain is the Vatican and whatever sitting pope. It's a corporation basically, but they are the top brass of all corporations. So when we create a corporation, that's our uplink. It is, no matter what kind of corporation it is, nonprofit, for profit, we are entering, quote unquote, the game when we go by their design. It's a design that was brought to us from Europe, okay? Namely, from a king, okay? And we can try to justify it if we want to, but the bottom line is it will never work for American Indians. And I say that with a bit of melancholy. It's not it's not looking for smoke with anyone. It is a sad realization that we can't use anything that was brought to us from Europe. And even though it's a sad admittance, because it really requires us building whatever we want to build for ourselves as the first people of America. And I just feel that really the corporation, the way it is nowadays, it really does not serve the people. It's a design meant to serve the higher ups, okay? And that's the realization that, we must come to. But if our Indians feel like they want to quote unquote play the game, I'm not plugged up. Let me plug up because this thing will cut off. Okay. Yes. I'm surprised it didn't cut off already. This laptop has it has like an issue. It doesn't keep a charge. Uh, it doesn't keep a charge. So I'm surprised that I didn't get we're about to cut off note. Um, I think it comes from overcharging. But this was like this when I first got this laptop. So um, maybe in its previous life it was overcharged. I don't know. It's a refurbished one. Um, so um, with this revelation that I've had recently, uh, it made me feel like, okay, so here's the thing. With the state nationals, what they're doing is calling United States citizens who want to get back to their original status before the United States citizen was created. The United States citizen was created years after the Constitution. The Constitution was created in 1787. The United States citizenship was created 1860. Oh gosh, 1868, I want to say. So between 1868 or it was 1865. So those of our Indians who insist that they're not going to repatriate either as, well, the Indians we have to make our own repatriation back to being an Indian. That is what the state nationals did. They repatriated back to what they were before the creation of the United States citizen. For those Indians who hear that, please make note of it. See, I've asked the ancestors to help me with this. And I see that that's exactly what they're doing. So what is our mission? All people that have been reclassified as United States citizens through, I want to say, insidious means. It wasn't something that we did directly. It was something that was a result of the birth certificate, which is pushed on us, basically, and the Social Security card, the Social Security number, I should say. So Indians out there, if you hear people saying that they don't want to give up their citizenship, just know that they do not understand what they have to repatriate back to. They think that United States citizenship is the one that we had when the Constitution was created. It was not. That I promise you. So for those who have found it beneficial to to subscribe, I want to say that if you have done your genealogy and you have found that your family was in Algonquian territory, um, what I would like, and it's nothing that would cause any kind of inconvenience. But when I look at what the state nationals have done, it was a call to, again, nationals and Indians. Well, not Indians, because she's doing it for state nationals, but we got to do it for India. It was a call to nationals who understand that they have been reclassified to a status that makes them 14th Amendment debt slaves. That is what a United States citizen is. They are pledged to a debt. So I just want Indians to understand when you insist that you will keep your citizenship, all you are doing is marrying yourself to a national debt of a corporation. That is what is going to define you, nothing else. The whole point of being made into a United States citizen was to put you in a position of being a debtor when you were a creditor. State nationals, once they become state nationals, United States citizens now owe them. You see, I don't know if that's understood, but it's a debtor and a creditor. The United States citizen and those who insist on wanting to remain United States citizens, you will be bound to that debt just by even just having a half a citizenship. Like say now you're an Indian and you're a United States citizen. What they'll do is create some kind of benefit or privilege that you won't have to pay for a while as an Indian, but then they will pull it from under you. And you'll wonder, how did they do that? It's because they own the half of you that's a United States citizen. And once they pull the benefit and the privilege out, that part of you falls. And it is a United States citizen. I've said this several times. They don't have any God-given rights. They have what Congress decides to give them. It's like standing with one foot that's supposed to be on solid ground as an Indian, and your other foot is on quicksand as a United States citizen. When half of your body is sinking, you have an issue. You won't be able to pull your foot out because it's a contract. So the Congress or the your what do you call it? Your owners, they will decide what happens to that foot that's in the quick. You don't decide. You don't get to pull it out. They own that foot. And this is the part where you want to say to Indians, you don't have to know the entire script. Once you find one part that is an error, you know that there's errors. When it comes to dealing with what is supposed to be a government, they should know better. So if we figure out one aspect of the fraud, rest assured, there are other attached implications to that one single fraud. So what I'm saying, you don't have to know the entire process if you're learning it. And there's nothing wrong with learning it. Like, I think the challenge that I'm seeing in Indian country is if you can't explain it, then that means it doesn't exist. That's like saying if you don't know European history, it doesn't exist. If you don't know every treaty that was made, it doesn't exist. If you can't explain it, that means it doesn't exist because you don't know every little single part. I know enough to know it's fraud because I have common sense. At this point, I don't know why anyone would defend a corporation that denationalized you. I think some people think that the corporation has changed. As we speak, what's going on with our borders? What's going on with Ukraine? Does it look like the corporation is changing any of its protocols? And once you align with that, it's going to stay the same. They're going to continue. Why are we defending breaking free from slavery? But yet, that's what I see happening. I was actually going to show an example that I came across today, and hopefully I can show it really quickly. But what I was saying is, Algonquins out there, think about, we know that there's a Confederate, what do you call it? Confederacy of Algonquins, right? And we know that those are not the Algonquins that are the real ones, right? So real Algonquins, and maybe we'll start to look at what would make you a real Algonquin, but you're not part of any federal crap. We might want to reassemble like Anna's doing with state nationals, former United States citizens. We Algonquins might want to begin creating our Northeast alliances if we're going to think about our land. And what the ancestors gave me yesterday is that, okay, you want us to show you sovereignty. What they whispered to me was, look for the land. When I tell you the ancestors are not playing, they're not. But I think the challenge is looking at the fraud and not losing heart. Because it's like looking straight into hell with all the demons, the highest ranking demons. So the ancestors, I think what I'm getting is they want to know, are you really ready? Is your heart there? Do you have the heart for this? If all you can think of is how to make nice with the corporation, you'll never see the demon for what it is, because you will be playing the demon's game. So, Algonquins, think about first, perhaps it could be like maybe a Facebook group or something like that, some kind of group. If someone knows, how to build, you know, that kind of thing, that where it would be private or whatever. Um, it would be similar to Dane, what Dane is doing, Dane Calloway. Uh, Perhaps it could be under an umbrella like that his 13%. And what the poetry of it would be the 13 colonies. It would be the Indians of the 13 colonies, the real ones, because we've been so strawmanned. We've been so strawmanned. But the real ones, I guess we don't even know that we are the real ones. That's the design. They started calling us. If we didn't go with their program, we were called Black and African. And even after that, even the ones who remained are not really. You don't see any of the quote unquote Black Indians anywhere, right? They don't have a voice. That's why I was very happy to read that article where the brother, the article about the copper colored people, where the brother brought up a good point. Like, how come? Okay, so there are quote unquote Black Indians, but his question was like, but how come we don't hear it? Because once they assimilate, they are erased. Even the ones that are in these fake corporation tribes or recognized tribes, they are not seen as the real Indians. They kind of fade into the amalgamated Indians. And then you look at the website, it'll be all Mongoloid Indians and like 2 or 3 full bloods. That's so they are still not recognizing the realness of the actual Indian. So anyway, I did want to show something. So let me see if I can find it. Okay, okay, that's one of the things I want to show. What's the other? The other, we got the linguistic map. Okay. Okay, so we could close that. The other thing I want to show. Oh my goodness, how many, I got so many linguistic maps open because I was trying to, in my last video, if you saw, I didn't post it yet, so how did you see it? But let me see. Okay, okay, and now I can share my screen. Okay, so it's that one. First, we're gonna look at the linguistic map, okay? Okay, here we go. Okay, so let me share my screen. And the lighting is, I know it's overexposed, so bear with me. I tell you, every time I sit here, the sun gets brighter. I can't explain it. When I first sat here, it wasn't this bright. But again, the ancestors are smiling, I think. I'm going to say yes. Okay. So let's look at this quickly. I think I did do this in the video that I didn't post yet. Okay, so we want the real Algonquins, not the federally recognized ones. So this was the territory that we were on. Excuse me. Uh, the light green. And see, and you could go at the bottom, and there you see Algonquin. So that was our territory. The yellow territory was Iroquois. You could see number 9. Wherever you see number 1 was Algonquin. Wherever you see number 9 was Iroquois. So let's look. There's 9. All of this up here is 1. It's like we're literally all around the Iroquois. Yet it's like we don't have a voice, and they have this huge voice. But look how much land they originally had right here around, is that Lake Erie? Okay. So where are the Algonquins? What happened to? Were we exclusively or a certain extra paper genocide? Because we still hear about the Iroquois Confederacy. We don't hear anything about Algonquin anything, right? Well, look at how much land they had. When you see that, think sovereign, okay? Because what the ancestors are revealing to me, this is your sovereignty, your land, okay? So we have the little tribe dominating pretty much this territory that was Algonquin. And then it ends up being, pretty important to the 13 colonies, because you want that access to the water. And I pointed out before, look at part of New York. The Iroquois only have the state part of New York and bleeding into the other surrounding states. They don't have any of the New York City area. There's New York City where Montauk is. That Montauk, as I said in my last video, which I didn't post yet, that would have been Algonquin language, because this is a linguistic map, you see. So this wording, Chippewa, Cree, Ottawa, Abnaki, Illinois, Potomac, or Potomac, we have Shawnee, all that light green area, and apparently the Delaware Algonquin, somehow I think they broke away and got some kind of deal. I'm just gonna, I don't quote me, but they are, in other words, they seem to be the only recognized, the Lenape. And as I said before, there are no sovereign Indians in America at this time. And the ones who are waking up now are falling for the okie doke and seemingly want to be, federally recognized. That we will never go back to this type of map once we're federally recognized. And I guess, look, the Pope already denounced this, right? So this is the land that was taken from the Algonquin, right? So we should get it back, right? Am I saying something threatening? It shouldn't be. They have fucked our land like the whore that is on the Energizer battery bunny shit. They have fucked over us, coming and going. At this point, you think our land you've used it up pretty well, right? What more do you want? They're in this game forever. So we have to start to think of our future and your children's future. If you want to play with the corporation, just tell your child you don't have any land rights. You have a reservation. And when the corporation feels like getting rid of that, you won't have that either. Because once again, Nothing that's a United States citizen has anything unalienable. I don't know any other way to say it. I'm not trying to be a know-it-all, but the things that I know, I talk. I can speak. I admit that there's more to learn. But if you're starting out looking to be booed up with the corporation, that is a no-brainer. Well, I thought it was. But our Indians today, they're still fighting the battle of civil rights. They're still fighting an African Americans battle. What I mean by that is African Americans had an issue with quote unquote white people. As an American Indian, you should know the fight is it's a different fight. Because now you'll have to look at the Moors, in a word. But we want to put old wine in new skins, as they say, and continue to make enemies at this point. What's the point of that? We should be looking for allies. And we would have many if a lot of our Indians weren't hell bent on alienating. That's what the corporation wants, y'all. It wants us singled out. That's why Martin Luther King was kind of a threat, because he had it where we had allies in all races. But American Indians, first of all, most of us don't know anything about being sovereign, because you can tell because they're still trying to play the corporation game. And you don't think you need assistance to learn what this corporation is about, but you want to just talk about the Mongoloids and the Caucasians. This corporation it's made up of many things. If we think that it's only white people or only Mongolians, you're not looking deep enough. You're not looking deep enough. I'm starting to think that a lot of what we're seeing, what do they call it? It's what is it? Controlled opposition. Controlled opposition. Anyway, there's all the land that was taken from the Algonquins. And if things really went to how they should be, the Iroquois would be their land. And the Algonquin would return to the East Coast. It's like we done forgot we have the East Coast. Every time you look up Algonquin, they're talking about Canada. No, no, we had land as far down as North Carolina, and I think South Carolina too. I think. I'll have to confirm that, but there it is, y'all. So when we think about being sovereign again and the land that was ours that was taken, and the Pope has denounced this sort of thing, when do we get our land back? And if Jesus died for your sins and you're forgiven, when did you get your shit back, your land? With the penalty. Job, in the story of Job, he got more than what was taken. So there's an edict for that, right? Apparently. So the next thing we're going to look at real quick, calling all Algonquins, okay? That's why I pulled up this map. If we could do some good work getting our land. Look at what we had. We had we had like, these are prime, that's like prime real estate, all Algonquins. Algonquins, you need to wake up. You need to wake The hell is this showing on your screen? I hope it's not. I just got a pop up. Yeah, my other video just loaded. So anyway, I done talk so much, but this is what we're going to be looking at. I wanted to show you what you get, what civil rights gets you, and to my shock, what a treaty got our Indians. Is this? I think this is it right here. Check this out. So we're reading the removal and relocation from 1830 to 1849. The website is National Archives. And so as you see, it has some very interesting stuff for us. You know, first treaty with the United States. I'm starting to realize treaties, who invented that concept? Was it us or was it the colonizer? It's looking like it was a colonizer. Everything they create comes to a crashing end. If we haven't learned that by now, we don't deserve to get our land back. What's the point? You'll just lose it again. Okay? So we think we can play with the government. We got to think bigger than our little, pocket. We really do, Everything they give you can be quite suddenly snatched away. I'm trying to get this to open, but it's not. So let's just see if we can read this just as it is. I thought I was opening the document. It doesn't seem to want to open. Prior to 1830, most Eastern Native American tribes, Algonquins, remained east of the Mississippi River. Okay, so it was Algonquins and a few others. Some tribes attempted to assimilate in the hope that they could remain on their ancestral homeland. However, the demands of the expanding United States that you want to bargain with today, you don't think they're going to do the same shit to you again? Indians that want to be down with the corporation. I'll put it to you this way. Paper genocide me once, you're bad. Paper genocide me twice. And like Kanye said, seems like it was more like you agreed to be a slave. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's hard to read this. However, the demands of the expanding United States corporation would lead to a shift in federal Indian policy. Why does federal have an Indian policy at all? We have our own policies that favor removal of tribes. We learned that tribe is even a Roman word. West of the Mississippi. So Andrew, I read here somewhere, it seems like it don't want to open today. I'm sorry, I thought I was going to be able to. It's like it's not opening. Cherokee removal. That's when we went to the Capitol. Okay, look at this. If it'll open. It just, oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Let's go back. So there we were going to the White House like we always do, marching on Washington, and nothing happens. Okay, so let's go. That little part had what? Okay, tribal delegations to the Capitol in 1860. During the 19th and 20th centuries, Native American leaders traveled to DC, like we always do, right? Million Man March, yada, 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 yada. Go back home to the bullshit. Thank you for showing us that we fucking you good. Now we know how many of you we done fuck. Now we have a good count. We are good. It's working. To defend tribal interests, leaders traveled to Washington, D.C. to defend tribal interests against the pressures of an ever-expanding United States. This is not what we built them to be. But once they got the jurisdiction over us, this is what they became. Delegations arrived at the Capitol assuming they would negotiate as equals. Once you sign on with them, they're not trying to be your equal. That was the whole point. So our ancestors left their lands to go to DC, probably was a big trip, thinking that this fucking corporation was going to respect them. First of all, you shouldn't have been equals. You should have been over the corporation. That's where it's supposed to be. But I see that's like an old wives' tale. And Indians ain't even thinking about that no more. They look at the corporation as that is the end all be all. You might as well be the Bible for these, and they think they ain't Christians no more. You might as well stay a Christian. You worship this freaking corporation like it's the final say. You are the final say. And this is not, we're not advocating violence. We're not advocating rebellion. We are advocating constitution and Indian sovereignty that was here before the corporation arrived. I don't care what issues we had, they were our issues to resolve or not. However, the government, through demonstrations of its wealth and power, such as military displays, that's going on right now. Right now. The authorities all in the subway, the men in blue, hoped to convince them, this government hoped to convince them, threaten them of the futility in resisting its demands. Once you sign the devil's contracts, he'll give you an introductory moment, and then the mere fact that you got into the contract with him at all is a means for him to call dominion over you. You didn't have to get into that. But you felt you did, and you thought that you're going to be treated like an equal. So they hoped to convince with military display of the futility, to convince the Indians of the futility in resisting demands. Interesting wording, huh? So let me ask you, when someone is putting demands on you, are you a sovereign? Or do you have even anything that they promised to give you in their little treaty? Nonetheless, many tribal leaders travel to Washington multiple times. That's what we do. That's what we do. Until we learn what rights we really have and became skilled negotiators for their tribes. Well, you know how to talk the talk, but you won't walk the walk now with this corporate. When it makes its demands and uses its military displays to convince you the futility of getting your land back, futility of being sovereign. So we became skilled negotiators for their tribes. Tribal delegations continue to be, this was the part that made me laugh. Tribal delegations continue to be an important part of federal tribe relations today. That was what I wanted to show. Now, these people, the funny thing was the United States citizen wasn't even created at this point. So what was it that gave them the authority? I'm going to say that I think it was the treaties. It's looking like just being in a treaty gives them dominion. And I didn't think of it like that before. Who created the treaty? That's what it's going to boil down to. Who drafted the treaty? And if the Indians drafted it, then why didn't it work in this case when they were going to Washington, D.C. to fight to stay on their land? So I think we have to find Indians that understand what exactly is going on. Because otherwise they're wasting their time. And they will never, nor will their children or their grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, they will never get their land back or their sovereignty. It doesn't have to be a war. Just like the state nationals, they are fighting with the strength of the Constitution. We don't have like any particular document as Indians, and I'm starting to realize the treaties were like toilet paper. That's why they broke them. Why they were able to be broken, because treaties, where are they coming from? So treaties, not the answer, like I thought it was. We have to write the document and they must agree, not the other way around. On that note, I'm going to have to get back to work from lunch. This was a very sobering find for me, but it's really helped me to understand, to keep hacking away, and to keep speaking in terms of sovereignty and a breaking away from the corporation. We get much more without the corporation. It looks like we get more being part of it. No, you don't. You get what they give you. And I'm going to say this for the freaking last time. If it looks like they're giving you more than you get as a sovereign, looks are deceiving in that case. Anything they give you as a United States citizen can be taken back at will. End of story. People can pontificate, criticize, laugh at, ridicule, but them is facts. Them is the facts. Are there any Indians left who really want sovereignty out there? Are there? Did we come this far to look for an easy way out with the corporation? Because the easy way out is the way back into the bullshit. Thank you for watching. We will continue. I wish you peace, overstanding, and that the ancestors will help you to see. Well, if you're intended to see it, you'll see it. If you're not, you won't. That's all. So the ones who are meant to see this, you already, your ears are buzzing already. The ones who just watch it and back to the bullshit, That was going to happen anyway, right? I know one thing. My ancestors don't leave me in vain. I've learned that. I've learned that. And you can be criticized for not knowing every little detail of the fraud that was committed against you. But if you keep at it, it's meant to be that way, because those who are saying that they don't get it or whatever, that is a choice. That is a choice. And I'll just leave it at that. That is a choice. Um, this is not smoke. This is not fire. This is a man who is serious about his sovereignty. That's all it is. If it's taken as an offense or an attitude or an affront, it's not what it is. When I read this, it doesn't make me happy. It just makes me want to know who gets it before they criticize me for not having every step written out for you. We have to do the work. And seems like a lot of it is individual, unfortunately, but we Indians don't get help, not even from Indians. And there you have. But the ancestors are there, and we thank them. And I wish you peace, love, health. Stop the screen share first. Your land back, your identity back, your sovereignty back, and all the good things. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed day.